But the scares continue. But the fear proceeds to rise. This is the Venom of the Forest 2, trapped in time.
No! Jimmy?
You are correct.
What the hell happened to you?
I've been reborn.
What?
Oh, for God's sake, I've been bit!
You've turned?
Correct.
You're a vampire.
Yes, I am.
So does this mean...
Yes.
No.
Come join me, Robert. Come join all of us. You'll never grow old, Robert. You'll never die. But you must feed.
I mean, it's tempting. I'm stuck in the past, being forced to watch terrible horror films.
The Lost Boys 2.
The Lost Boys, the film that proved that Joel Schumacher can make good movies.
The classic vampire flick that actually made vampires scary, combining great comedy, charming performances, incredibly charismatic characters, debuting the two Coreys, creating one of the best characters ever played by Kiefer Sutherland. It's a great classic 80s movie.
Why not fuck it up?
Fucked up, bro!
After the success of the original,
Now to be fair, they did leave an opening for a follow-up.
several sequel ideas were thrown around. One was a direct sequel with Kiefer Sutherland's character David actually coming back, having survived due to his heart being missed in the climactic ending to part 1.
Another was going to be a prequel based on David's origin and how he became a vampire, and a third idea was based on a female gang called the Lost Girls, but these ideas never materialized.
After these ideas were dropped, Schumacher backed out and refused to participate in any continuation, believing that it just shouldn't be made after all.
But if you saw this crap and wondered why the hell it's a Lost Boys movie, it originally wasn't. It was going to be a film about surfing werewolves, but the studio rejected the script because it was too similar to the Lost Boys. Remember that scene in the Lost Boys where they went surfing?
Okay.
The script was literally changed once it was turned into a sequel, and they just swapped werewolves to vampires. That was it.
Yeah, sure, it's fine.
Corey Feldman is the only character to properly reprise his role. Jason Patric was rumoured to have a cameo as Michael, but it didn't happen. However, even Feldman originally refused to come back, not liking the idea, and he only agreed to return once he was given a much larger part in the story. This is because it almost became a remake of the original at one point, set in modern day, with Feldman simply having a cameo. His on-screen brother, Jameson Newlander, was in the film too, but his scene was later deleted.
Corey Haim was supposed to come back as Sam, but due to his continuing drug problems, he struggled to remember his lines and he clashed with the filmmakers, wanting more creative control over the character, leading to him being reduced to a mere post-credit appearance.
The film tells the story of Chris and Nicole, who move to a new town with their aunt, but they go to a party where she meets and falls for Shane, played by Kiefer Sutherland's real-life brother Angus, who basically turns her into a half-vampire.
You know the drill. Chris now has to team up with Edgar, again played by Feldman, to take down the head vampire to save his sister. It's pretty standard.
Not good.
But would you ever suspect this is a Lost Boys movie? It's vampires surfing. It's like if the guys from the Jersey Shore were vampires. Yeah bro, let's go and suck some blood bro, yeah bro. But don't worry, if you're wanting a real subtle movie.
You jumped your gate, it's not like we went for a swim in your pool.
Yeah, we never go into anyone's house.
Unless we were invited.
You won't get one here.
And then they start playing football with the dude's head.
Yo! Suck my dick, bitch! Hey, Shane! Check this out! Ow! Fucking... I think I hit the spine!
Not a good time to lose one's head.
Oh, indeed.
That's not the way to get ahead in life.
No.
It's a shame he wasn't more headstrong. He'll never be the head of a major corporation.
Okay, that'll do.
Okay?
I honestly don't even know what to say to this. It's a Lost Boys movie with a badass vampires are playing football with a guy's head. This is ridiculous.
At least the opening credits has a cool soundtrack, but we quickly see the film's problem. It relies entirely on nostalgia. They copy the exact opening from the original, and they have constant throwbacks to the original throughout the film.
Right, little sister?
Get it? Because the song Cry Little Sister was in the first film? They're not even clever, they're just out of place. It comes across as more desperate than creative.
This film does nothing but try and be the original, and it tries to pay tribute to the 1980s.
Oh my gosh, you mean to say that two of you have never heard of the Goonies?
Get it? Because Corey Feldman was in it.
Because why not take down another classic 80s movie while you're at it? Why not destroy Back to the Future or Bill and Ted? It's fair game at this point.
Also, if this movie acknowledges that the Goonies real, how does that work in this universe? So Corey Feldman, the actor, exists because he was in the Goonies, but Corey Feldman as Edgar Frog also exists in this movie as a different character. This makes no sense!
Yeah, I know, I can tell.
But as soon as they get to a party, they come across a dude who looks like that guy from the Adam Sandler films, and, well, this doesn't quite add up.
What the fuck are you guys doing here?
Shane invited us.
No, idiot, here in Luna Bay. What are you, fucking stalking me?
We live here now.
Great, maybe we can get together, get Nicole.
Okay, you barbecue for him?
Not you,
Such a new
maybe
job,
your hot
man?
sister,
Just
though.
not cutting it
Hey,
for you?
speaking of which, it's been a long time, but I gotta tell you, you're looking really good in those boots.
Why don't you stop being such an ass?
I guess you expected more from drunk meatheads at a party, my dear.
Colin! I told you this was a bad idea.
Just forget about him. He's just trying to get to you.
I don't care about him. I'm not staying at this fucking party. Let's go.
I know we just got here, but I can't believe I encountered someone drinking alcohol and saying silly things. I have never been exposed to such depravity in all my life. It's outrageous.
Another issue is that the director clearly didn't watch the original movie. Now, we know everybody says that when they're insulting a sequel that's long after the original, and they always say, did they even watch the original? But they literally did not watch the original. We can prove it at this point. We can prove it. Firstly, the original film had practical effects that gave it charm and an absorbing atmosphere, but here, they're so over the top, they really force CGI, there's no subtlety whatsoever. The scares and effects are all up in your face and leave nothing to the imagination.
A vampire gets staked, and instead of dying normally or blood pouring everywhere like before, she turns to stone and then explodes. Death by shitty film.
This is a sequel! A sequel, not a remake! All the rules stand! It's a sequel! You gotta at least follow what the original film did! I'm gonna suck the director's blood!
But remember in the first film, Michael is a half vampire, so he's not entirely invisible in the mirror but translucent. He has a half reflection. Nah, screw that, in there she's a half vampire and has zero reflection! Oh, and she also starts puking. Apparently becoming a half vampire also makes you really sick. Must have missed that in the first film.
They even remixed the amazing song Cry Little Sister, but it's an awful metal version. It's so shit, and that's the problem. It tries to be the Lost Boys, but it's a shit version of the Lost Boys. Even the scenes for the song are bland and lifeless. There's nothing to them. It tries to pay tribute to it and tries to be nostalgic, but gives you the shit light version of everything. They even reenact the sex scene from the original, but look at the difference in the editing. The first one set a great mood, but this one is just a lackluster version.
But they even try to copy the kick-ass motorbike sequence, but look at the fucking difference! This one is for sissies! Remember when vampires were cool, scary, and badass?
Maybe this is my fault. Maybe I gave you guys the wrong
Come on,
impression.
Jillian, it's not that big a deal. Just wait like 2 days, it'll be good.
Just let me finish. Could you please take your sunglasses off?
See, it's not even like they're paying tribute to the original. They're remaking scenes from the original. They're just doing the scenes again. Were these the same writers as Home Alone 2?
But once they start to suit up, Edgar provides the epic speech from the original, which is a cool moment.
When a vampire buys it, it's never a pretty sight. No two bloodsuckers go out the same way. Some yell and scream, some go quietly. Some explode, some implode, but all will try to take you with them.
But then he says,
You know how to use this, right?
Yeah, totally.
Okay, good.
No, dude, I have no idea what that is.
It's a garlic bolo.
But in the original, they said garlic doesn't work.
Garlic don't work, boys!
They said garlic doesn't work! They literally set a plan in place. Garlic doesn't work, it's a myth. And now all of a sudden, yeah, I'm Edgar Frog. Yeah, we're gonna use garlic. What the hell?
they tried using garlic on me and it didn't work. Garlic doesn't work.
Get out of my house!
It's your funeral, pal.
Hey! Hey, that was in the original, so that means it's clever!
Hey look, those comic books were in the original, so it's clever, right? I mean, I guess I'll give them credit for at least trying something different. Chris has to trick the vampires, become a half vampire himself, join their gang, and then save his sister. That's actually a pretty cool idea.
But earlier in the film, Nicole starts to lose control and attack someone. Now this is done in the original for one scene, but in this one, it's displayed constantly that it's a frequent inner battle where she becomes the fucking exorcist. So how the flying vampire doo-doo can he save his sister as a half vampire when he's constantly gonna be a vampire feasting for human flesh? Wait, how the hell do they have electricity in video games in a damn cave?
Well, what if I say yes?
Think long and hard about it, Chris. Once you join the tribe, there's no turning back.
And that's the only mention of the tribe in this entire film, by the way.
Oh look, he collapsed backwards into his bed. Get it? Because Michael did that in the original? It's so witty and clever!
What, you guys have like night vision or something?
What kind of night vision fuckery at shot bought by?
Can't you turn yourselves into bats?
Way too many movies, bro.
But they did that in part 1. I think.
Did they?
Well, they at least fly. We don't see if they're bats or not.
That was stupid anyway.
Yeah, it was.
Sparkle again.
Okay. It doesn't matter though, because okay, the gore and the action here is pretty cool and the horror is actually pretty decent, but there's no explanation as to why or how Chris never turns evil. There is never a single moment where Chris is tempted to kill or attack any human. How come he can control it but Nicole can't? Did she just want Shane's dick that much?
I'm not actually sure how I feel about the new look of the vampires. The gore here is pretty cool and it actually does match the tone of the original sequence by the tree. I'm not a big fan of vampires having super speed, but my biggest question is, how come this vampire doesn't turn to stone and explode? They can't even keep their own ridiculous rules consistent.
I can't.
You said you were ready.
But I know him.
I mean, if it was a stranger, I'd kill him. Not a friend I rejected 17 times.
Well, he's the only thing that still stands between us, Nicole.
Because he's the only human that she can eat to become a vampire.
Yeah, this random shit wannabe My Chemical Romance member. Why does it have to be someone she knows? She's happy to kill anyone. Not this pansy guy who we've only seen for a few moments. Make her kill a rapist or something. Kill someone worthwhile. The film does start to get a bit cooler towards the end as Edgar and Chris are hunting for vampires in the dark, but this is 80 minutes in, and it's way too late to save the entire movie.
Yeah, the soundtrack here is actually pretty awesome, and the deaths are really cool.
But then we get this ridiculous shot of Shane flying down. This is hilarious. But I must admit, the music is actually pretty awesome when they finally fight. Not as good as the original, but hey, I'll take anything at this point.
Oh, and remember how the first film ended? They killed the head vamp, and the grandfather revealed that he knew about all of the vampires from the very beginning, much to their astonishment.
Well, they copy it here. Literally the exact same scene, except their aunt walks in and doesn't even react to her niece and nephew covered in fucking blood. She just has a go at them and leaves. But she doesn't know about the vampires. So why the hell didn't she react? Dozy cow. But to be perfectly honest, my mom never noticed I was a vampire when she walked in. I'm such an unloved child.
These characters are worse than Twilight.
Yeah, we said it. This came out a few months before Twilight 2, so technically, this movie started the trend of turning vampires into romantic, loved-up sissies.
Now, it's unlikely because of the time frame that Twilight actually ripped this off, but just look at some of this shit, man. This is the only connection we get from the characters in both films.
You're Chris Emerson, right?
Get it? Because that was Sam and Michael's last name in the first film?
That's all you get.
Oh, and this dude hitting on Nicole is the worst flirt in the history of the world.
So when they initially go to Edgar's home, Chris literally knocks and waits 5 seconds before deciding he's not home. Give him a chance, man.
So basically, Shane was a famous surfer that Chris used to idolize, but he suddenly went missing. Then he shows up next to Chris and he barely even reacts. It's revealed later that he is his hero, and he doesn't find it weird that he's just sat next to him after mysteriously vanishing for years.
This would be the equivalent of you just sitting there on a park bench and Madeline McCann comes up and sits next to you. Oh hi Maddie, how you been doing, love? How's life on the missing persons circuit?
But unlike Kiefer Sutherland, whose delivery was always charismatic and badass,
Angus Sutherland is so wooden and unremarkable. He has less emotion than Edward Cullen. At least Edward had some facial expressions down. At least he was effective in fight scenes and had presence. This is just a weird guy from down the road who works in Hot Topic. There is nothing interesting about him. He's a bore, and somehow he makes Edward look good. Even Edward could pull a face.
and now that you mention it, despite this coming out first, it does look like he's constantly trying to do a Robert Pattinson impression.
I just met this guy.
Oh, please, you had a poster of him on your wall in high school.
Exactly, so why is he so calm? If I bumped into Eminem or Jim Carrey, I'd shit my pants!
Okay, don't look now. But that little hottie over there by the fire is giving you all kinds of love.
And I really want to imagine my older brother having sex, so get over there, Chris, and get some pussy.
Oh yeah, the bad flirt is there and gets cock-blocked again. You'll get used to him lingering around for no reason.
Nicole warns Chris to be careful going off with the girl, but then the first guy who speaks to her, she's like, yup, let's go, woohoo, into bed we go.
And Chris's bird literally admits she's some surfer groupie chick who goes around randomly fucking surfers. And he's fine with it. Then they pork in the shower.
Where does she get that shower?
And yep, Nicole instantly goes to the bedroom with the weird vanishing Shane that she's only just met.
And then she tells him her entire life story. I can kind of let go her wandering off with him, but reeling off the entire personal history of her and her brother's life to a complete stranger that she just met. She's just asking for trouble.
In the original, the characters only went searching for trouble when they had to help people. But here, they find the trouble themselves. Nicole talks to any fucker who smiles at her and will just go anywhere they tell her to.
Well, except this dude. But again, David was so cool, intimidating, menacing, and evil. But this one is a nice, sweet, and sensitive vampire, and he talks about his feelings. This vampire's a pussy.
Stop making girls want to date vampires. They're meant to be scary.
Like me. Oh, and Shane literally makes a flower appear out of thin air and she doesn't even question it. Oh cool, a magic pansy. I'll marry him.
And she even takes drinks from strange men she doesn't know.
Smells good.
Get it down your neck, love. Now you're gonna get your knickers off.
And then she rides off with the guy.
Okay, this girl is dead to me. She is literally one of the most brainless characters in all of film. If I wanted to drink her blood, she would have offered it up to me in a fucking blender. In fact, she would have just jumped on the bed and laid down and said, you might as well be the Christopher Lee Dracula. Come and eat me because I have no regard for my own safety because I'm the most brainless character in all of film. Yes, I'm a vampire, I can still feel emotion, and this movie gives me fucking anger.
But hey, Chris also starts porking a girl he hardly knows, so she's not the only easy one.
Now there is a funny moment where the vampires start stabbing each other for fun and their guts fall out, but they stole that from Scream, just saying.
No, dude, it's between me and my sister, man, thank you.
She can handle herself, man. Believe me.
Oh, hell no.
Shane heavily implies that he just banged Nicole, and she's pissed off at her brother.
What? She doesn't even question Shane saying it? I'll never understand women.
But don't worry, there's one man who can save this film now.
Chris Emerson, I'm Edgar Frog, surfboard shaper and vampire hunter.
My god.
He's back!
He's a god amongst men.
Thank you, Corey.
I must admit, Corey's first appearance is amazing. They make you wait 32 minutes, but it is so worth it, and he fits right back into the role perfectly.
He still had the well-needed charisma, and it's a great performance, but I do have issues with his voice. It's kind of like Christian Bale's Batman. Everything else works, but the voice is really overdone.
No, he's perfect in this.
He's the best part of this movie.
No, that's stupid.
But the weird shower chick somehow finds Chris at home. How the hell does she know where he lives? And why doesn't he question this or react like it's really creepy? Does he react to anything?
Come to think of it, how did Edgar know where Chris lived? And why did he choose to ignore them the first time? And how did he find out about Nicole?
He's a god amongst men.
You know what? I'm sorry, I can't do this with my sister back there.
Then she gets her tits out and he's happy to.
Your sister's become a member of the undead, a night stalker, a bloodsucker, Nosferatu. Your sister's a suck monkey.
He's so awesome.
No, and by drinking his blood, you've been turned into a vampire.
Right, I'm a vampire, Chris. Great. Stop being such an asshole. I'm not a freaking vampire.
I love how she says it so casually, like, I'm not a vampire, like, I'm not a bully, I'm not a bitch. Just like, I'm not a fucking mythical, undead, legendary beast. But I am.
I tried to eat that guy! Do you realize that? Do you know what it's like for me to want to drink blood? Do you know how disgusting that is? I'm a vegetarian.
Don't worry, love. You get used to it. It is a shame though, Corey really blends well back into this role, which is amazing considering the 20-year gap between films. Just a shame that he didn't have a bigger role, nor Jameson Newlander who played his brother. That could have actually been a really good sequel.
There is some awesome music though as Mr. Flirt starts to get hunted by vampires. Remember him? He was vital to the story.
Vampires always look for a place with a history of human suffering.
Where this film was made.
I'll get back in with them. I'm gonna become one of them.
Don't be stupid, all right? They can read your thoughts before you even have them.
But what, they're fucking Edward Cullen now? Since when can vampires read minds?
You had a soft spot there. I know what it's like to lose a sibling.
Mine was in the deleted scenes. In fact, why wasn't that the movie? His brother turns into a vampire and then he seeks revenge. I mean, a little cliche, but it'd be a hell of a lot better than this.
That's it? Just gonna type her name onto a computer and hope someone turns her in like a dog pound? Isn't that kind of passive?
Son, we have a system.
Listen, officer, there's gotta be something you can do in the meantime. Sheriff. Sorry. I'm really worried about her.
You can tell by the sheer amount of enthusiasm in my voice.
It's not what I want, bro. It's what Shane wants.
A threesome.
You've been so worried about losing Nicole that it's made you paranoid and overprotective.
My god, this guy is so boring! Every time he tries to give a speech, all I can think about is how much cooler Kiefer Sutherland was!
Again, it's clearly an inferior attempt at copying the original. He's clearly doing a Kiefer Sutherland impression, but he just doesn't have the natural intensity or brooding style, and he doesn't capture your attention.
You and your sister will never grow old. You'll never die, and you'll never know fear again.
This film is a bag of piss.
But you have to take that first step.
Is he serious? That line should be delivered with some sort of emotion and some sort of presence. This guy's a fucking disgrace to vampires. I'm ashamed of the guy. Nicolas Cage was a better vampire.
There is a scene where the vampires outrun the cops and it looks cool and everything, but the characters are just so bland and boring you don't care. In the original, every one of the gang members were cool. Even if they didn't have any lines, they all kept your attention. But here, you forget every single character except Shane, and you only remember him because the movie won't let you forget the tosser.
Hey! Who ordered the steak?
Oh, who cares? The man himself is back.
Wait, how did he know where they'd be?
Shut up.
Are you cool?
Of course I'm not cool. I'm in Lost Boys 2.
I hate fucking vampires.
Corey Feldman fucks vampires?
It smells like fungus or death. It's vampire BO.
You know what? Feldman is actually a pretty underrated badass. Right, so here's the confusing part. Edgar is hunting a vampire, and I'm pretty sure he says, so when I initially watched it, I thought this was Alan Frog, since Edgar says earlier that he lost his brother to vampires. But it's not. It makes no sense.
Missed.
Pop goes the weasel.
Who cares? That was the greatest scene in the entire movie. I would literally happily sit there and watch Corey Feldman destroy vampires for 2 hours straight. In fact, no I wouldn't, I'd fucking run. The fight scene is pretty cool I guess, but Shane is just so cringeworthy. This guy could intimidate a Teletubby.
Nicole, why?
He's family, asshole.
Okay, this movie may be a load of old shit, but it does have one or two really good lines in there. And it pains me to say that.
And I love the fact that it isn't Chris or Edgar who kills him, but Nicole. Oh wait, what, he's still alive? God damn it!
The ending is so fucking abrupt. It's like, Shane's a head vampire. There you go. There you go, kids. Shane's a head vampire. End of fucking movie. End of discussion. How'd it happen? We don't fucking know. Shane was a head vampire, was he? Yep, he was the head fucking vampire. Okay, accept it. Even though it doesn't make any sense and it's impossible. Just accept it. Shane went missing. He would have been turned. So how is he the head vampire? Did he turn his fucking self? Nicolas Cage turned me, so everyone's turned by someone.
getting a bill for my services.
What did he even do? He killed one vampire and now he wants to take all of the credit?
No, he was saying it to the director for at least trying to get this movie to work. And as a big slap in the face, after the credits, he confronts Sam, who's now a vampire, and it cuts just as he lunges at him. But hey, it's a pretty awesome cliffhanger. Sadly, Corey Haim would pass away not long after this film came out and would never be able to reprise his role again. It just shows what this movie could be if they'd have got the original cast back.
This movie killed Corey Haim! The movie tries to be The Lost Boys, but then tries to take it in a different direction. It pussifies the core vampires, ruins most of the soundtrack, gives you boring protagonists, bar Edgar. It has some cool lines, and Feldman is amazing in it, but overall it tries to rely on nostalgia and fails miserably. It's just a lazy cash cow that fails at almost anything.
The Lost Boys 2 is one of those terrible sequels that you have your head in your hands thinking, why did they even make this? There are certain movies that are sacrilegious, and The Lost Boys is one of them. You cannot recapture that magic, you cannot recapture that passion, that flair, that vibe, and if you try, it just makes you come across as second rate. They should have just tried to make their own great vampire movie, instead of just throwing Corey Feldman in as a glorified, it just feels like a cameo overall, because he's barely doing anything. It's not like he's fighting as part of the Frog Brothers or anything like that. None of the original cast are back other than him. It just comes across as very shallow and just really pales in comparison to what we know of The Lost Boys. And it's just a movie that belongs in the 80s. We can't really create Lost Boys in the present day. The Lost Boys is an iconic movie. Lost Boys 2 is just an insult to the legacy. Lost Boys 2 can pretty much go and fuck itself.
Wow, now that's done. I suppose we can just chill, Jimmy, and...
A cup of blood drained from Rob Bohr is what I need now. I'm coming for you, Rob.